Sasebo High School girl murder case. Around 6:40 p.m. on July 26, 2014, she visited a friend's house in Sasebo City, Nagasaki Prefecture. Aiwa Matsuo, a 15-year-old high school freshman, told her mother she'd be home by 7 p.m. but then went missing. In response to this, the police launched an investigation immediately. Around 3:20 a.m. on the 27th, the police visited her friend's apartment building, whom she had gone out with. When they arrived, what they saw was an unbelievably gruesome scene. I will omit the details about her, but according to the subsequent investigation, her death was caused by asphyxiation due to strangulation. Around 6:10 a.m. that day, the police classified it as a homicide. Tokukatsu Monami was arrested in the apartment where she had been living alone when the incident occurred. At the time, the 15-year-old was urgently arrested. Before the body was discovered, she tried to hide the incident by telling the police she didn't know where the victim had gone. However, after her arrest, she calmly underwent questioning and stated, "I did everything myself. I wanted to kill and dismember someone. I wanted to see what was inside." She gave her statement in a composed manner. Why did such an incident happen? What kind of person was Tokukatsu Monami? She was born into a wealthy family in Sasebo City. Her older brother studied at a renowned private university in Tokyo, and her father was a local celebrity known by nearly everyone. He was also famous as a lawyer and as a figure skater. Her mother, a University of Tokyo graduate, was a City Board of Education member with a strong passion for educational activities. He was born between them. She herself was also blessed with talent. In his youth, he was a passionate student and a talented speed skater who competed nationally. However, at the same time, she also had the rebellious side. When she was in 6th grade, she put detergent and bleach in the school lunch of students she didn't like. She has a past where she caused a major problem at school. Her mother apologized and it didn't go to court, but as a result, she became isolated from her class. When she entered junior high, her madness intensified, and she began to use the medical books she was reading as reference. She repeatedly committed acts such as dissecting and killing cats. After that, she not only became the subject of rumors at school, the situation worsened and the local police began monitoring her. It was also revealed that she had a severe autism spectrum disorder during this period. Her mother was worried about her strange behavior and backed her idea to go overseas to study after finishing junior high. But in October 2013, during her 3rd year of junior high school, her mother passed away from pancreatic cancer, forcing her to cancel her study abroad plans. On March 2, 2014, she finally directed those impulses toward her family, who were sleeping. She struck her father's head multiple times with a metal bat, killing him. Although the attempt failed, her father's skull was caved in. He was immediately hospitalized, and the school was informed about the incident. In a subsequent school interview, she said, "I wanted to kill someone, and it could have been anyone, even you." This is a very serious issue, but her father did not make it public because he was concerned about her social reputation and his own appearance. When she was in 6th grade and caused a major problem by mixing drugs into the school lunch, her father also begged the victim's parents not to make the incident any bigger. Since he left child rearing entirely to her mother used to lament that her husband never helped with raising their child and never tried to face their daughter, saying she couldn't go on with him and wanted to divorce as soon as possible. Furthermore, less than half a year after her mother died of illness, her father introduced her to his new wife. It's not hard to imagine that her father's actions, taken before she had healed from the loss of her mother, may have had some kind of impact on her as a young girl. And then, at some point, an irreparable rift had formed between her and her father. In the spring of 2014, I started feeling my life was threatened. Her father had her start living alone under the pretense of preparing to study abroad. She entered high school, but only attended for 3 days during the first semester. A few months later, she would go on to commit this incident. The school was concerned about her. Her junior high and high school homeroom teachers visited her apartment to discuss her issues, also involving a psychiatrist. They arranged for her to receive counseling and did other things like that. During one of these counseling sessions, at this point, her mental state was already very dangerous, so they conducted a psychological test. Consequently, she was diagnosed with symptoms resembling those of Sakakibara, the perpetrator of the Kobe child serial murders. June 10, 2014. The psychiatrist reported the worst possible outcome she might cause and contacted the Child Consultation Center. Her father ultimately chose to have her admitted to a psychiatric hospital. On July 25, 2014, the day before the incident, he called the Sasebo Child and Women Disability Support Center, but his request was declined due to summer hours. He was told to contact them again at a later date. On the following day, July 26, despite the efforts of the school and her father, the incident occurred and she was immediately arrested. About a year later, on July 13, 2015, after she was sent to the family court, the influence of environmental factors and the juvenile law were applied. From the perspective that she was under 16, she was considered to have significant mental and physical disabilities and was placed in a specialized care facility. She was said to be sent to a Type 3 juvenile training school, but it hadn't occurred yet. Before the juvenile law was revised, she had not yet reached the age at which criminal punishment could be applied. In this case, sending her to a Type 3 juvenile training school is appropriate. Opinions were split in two. Some believed this was appropriate, while others thought she deserved a harsher punishment, and the debate became heated. At the same time, many people began to question the juvenile law itself, and this was not limited to the general public. Her arrest also had a significant impact on her family after this incident occurred. About 2 months later, on October 5th, 2014, her father, who had been heavily criticized by the public and featured in the news every day, could no longer bear it and tragically hanged himself at home. Her older brother, who was a sophomore at a prestigious private university in Tokyo at the time, dropped out of college and has since disappeared. At first, the father's remarried partner, she tried hard to support her, but because of all the attention from those around them, she couldn't live in peace and was forced to return to her family home. In other words, the family ended up being torn apart. And it wasn't just the family. The shocking case involving high school girls as both victim and perpetrator greatly impacted many media outlets. The popular show Miracle Experience Unbelievable replaced segments reminiscent of the case, and in the anime Psycho-Pass, the new edited version's episode 4 broadcast was cancelled and episode 5 aired ahead of schedule. Such considerations highlight the attention this case garnered. What exactly drove her to do this? How could such a tragic incident have been prevented? Experts shared their views. The loss of her mother and her father's new marriage caused her to feel lonely. Her suppressed emotions exploded due to her hatred toward the victim for having a mother and her desire to make her parents proud through her studies. In the midst of adolescence, she was confronted with death and became strongly aware of life and death. It wasn't that she wanted to kill just anyone, it was precisely because it was her best friend that she wanted to dismember her. Some interpretations also point to long-standing issues she had. The 2010 foreign object contamination incident caused by the perpetrator is an event that cannot be overlooked when she struck her father's head with a metal bat. Some have said that it was clear the perpetrator should have been classified as a child in need of protection, and that if she hadn't been neglected, she might not have ended up killing someone. However, all of these are just speculations, and only she herself knows the truth. This case was caused by a young girl born into a wealthy environment. She was under a lot of stress. She may have been sending signals to those around her. With more support, her future could have been different, but discussing the past changes nothing. However, we can change the future. For those struggling with similar issues, I hope that something will change, even if just a little. She, who was sent to the juvenile detention center, is still serving her sentence. The third type of juvenile detention center can hold those under protective custody until they are 26 years old. She is expected to return to society around 2024. She has returned to society. I sincerely hope that she will continue to face this matter head on, and also the victim. I sincerely wish Aiwa Matsuo happiness. That's all for today. Thank you very much for watching.